Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the auditorium, Professor Dr. Hashim Jalal at FPCI Secretariat. My name is Jason Matthew Mantoro, and I will be your Master of Ceremony for today's event. And also, I want to welcome to the people that are in the auditorium in next room. We have a lot of people here, so I think we are very happy to invite you all to this session. This workshop is a collaboration of the 1000 Abrahamic Circles Project and the United Religions Initiative. This workshop aims to introduce young people to how they process and respond to religious and other information obtained through social media. This session will also cover the contagious nature of harmful behaviors and the importance of controlling emotions and being wise in acting on social media. Today's workshop is titled Navigating Religious Discourse in the Social Media Era, Empowering Youth for Preventing and Interrupting Violence in Social Media and Hate Speech. To inform you, today's agenda will be separated into two parts. The first part is the discussion session, which is followed by the question and answer session. And the second part is the workshop session. So before we begin our event, let us watch the profile video of the 1000 Abrahamic Circles Project.
This is a rabbi, an imam, and a priest sitting at the same table, having a dialogue. How many times have you seen a similar situation like this? Perhaps here, when Pope Francis kissed the feet of South Sudan's President Salva Kiir back in April. Or even here, when Pope Francis met with Dr. Ahmad Al-Tayyib, the Grand Imam of Al-Azhar. So it is not such a rare sight after all. The truth is, interfaith efforts between different religious leaders and different nations have existed for a while. Then, why did we create another one? You see, the traditional dialogue model typically involves elites and only elites. It lacks grassroots influence and direct mass effect. It also typically invites moderates who already hold pluralistic or inclusive views. In the past 2,000 years or so, with minor exceptions, there has not been a century where Abrahamic religions were at total global peace. Somewhere, somehow, two or all three of the Abrahamic faiths are usually in conflict. It is amid this unending tension and prejudice that we aim to create a harmonious and peaceful coexistence through an innovative model. 1000 Abrahamic Circles is an independent, grassroots, international, interfaith effort that aims to bring together Abrahamic faith leaders. First introduced in October 2018, 1000 Abrahamic Circles was chosen as a finalist for Best Peace Ideas to be presented at the Paris Peace Forum. Christians, Muslims, and Jews from 3 different countries and 3 different worldviews on a 3-week journey to each other's community, spending a week in each other's home. By directly observing each other's way of life and socializing with members of the community, we hope to demystify age-old stereotypes. To create measurable impact, including increasing religious literacy, empathy, and a sense of mutual respect, not just tolerance, not just among leaders, but also among their congregation and eventually everyone. We have a low cost, easy to replicate interfaith model, allowing hubs to be generated in multiple regions of the world to run the program simultaneously. With this, we expect measurable cuts in anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, and anti-Christian sentiments amongst circle alumni in the congregation. We plan to repeat each circle 100 times a year and 1,000 times in the next 10 years, creating real, measurable, on-the-ground change, and we want you to be a part of it.
Okay, next, to get to know more about URI, let us watch the profile video of the United Religions Initiative. Okay, we're going to jump into our discussion session. And today's discussion will be moderated by Clara Clarissa, Program and Communication Officer of the 1000 Abrahamic Circles Project. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Clara Clarissa. Clara, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Jason. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good day, everyone. First of all, we would like to say thank you very much for your enthusiasm in attending this workshop today. We believe that all of you who are sitting with us today are aware of one of the issues that we all might face in our community or society, especially in this social media era. It is about the violence in social media and hate speech. Today we have our amazing speakers with us from United Religions Initiative, our best partner that has concerns about interfaith and social issues. Today we have Jerry White. He is the Executive Director of URI. He is also an author, diplomat, and humanitarian activist. Jerry has led campaigns resulting in 3 international treaties, including the Landmine Ban Treaty, and shares the 1997 Nobel Peace Prize. He also wrote a book about his experience helping thousands of war victims build resilience in getting up when life knocks you down. Let's give him a warm welcome to Jerry White. And beside him, we have Maria Crespo, Director of Member Support of URI, based in Buenos Aires, Argentina. She has worked for URI for more than 20 years. Since joining URI in 1997, Maria has been vital in managing global communications with Cooperation Circle around the world, overseeing the CC approval process and serving as the staff liaison for the CC approval committee. She also leads the URI Impact Assessment Project. So let's give a warm welcome to Maria Crespo. So without a further ado, I would give the floor for Jerry to speak about positive interfaith leadership. Jerry, the floor is yours. And the clicker is there.
Can you hear me? Good. Salam alaikum. How are you? I am happy to be here with you on my first trip to Indonesia. It's a beautiful country. So today, I'm not sure if the clicker will work the way I want. Go. Okay, you know who I am. So you saw that video about URI, United Religions Initiative, and it's very simple. It's like you are I. We are more alike than different, and that is very important. Even if we come from different cultures, religions, and countries, and families, we actually have more in common than difference. But we love and celebrate our differences too. So you saw in the video many circles. So you should have thought, wow, that's the key to URI, cooperation circles. We do all our work in circles because it makes people feel equal, not like there's a boss at the top or someone at the bottom. We are all equal in our dignity and our difference, and we embrace that. Here we have a picture of some of the youth that started early on at URI, and some were at interns, some were at marches. This is in Paris with a cooperation circle called Coexiste, like to coexist. And I think 3 of those people, including Daniel holding the poster, these are people who went on to become leaders in URI, board members, youth representatives. And so we're very proud of how people can climb up and learn over the years how to mature and grow in expressing their difference. We also stand for protecting sacred heritage. Here in Jerusalem at Al-Aqsa Mosque, or the Dome of the Rock, holy, holy, beautiful. And Jerusalem is to be cherished by all Abrahamic faiths. So we embrace that together in the group gathered in Jerusalem. In the photograph, we have from 40 different countries and many, many different faiths. So we respect and honor each other's sacred heritage and culture with respect. And what's sort of nice is, as cooperation circle, even the Abrahamic circles, you can do what you want. In fact, many of the youth programs around the world, the circles, have planted more than 300,000 trees around the world at their own initiative. So you saw that we cherish Mother Earth and all living beings. So important to take our traditions, even indigenous groups, and Native Americans and others, working together to honor the earth, particularly in the day we live in, which is dangerous for the earth. Mother Earth is suffering. So you can see that you can join URI as an individual member. As 1,000 Abrahamic circles, it's already growing as one of our family members. But let's say you're a little nervous and you just want to try it out online. You can also just join as an individual, not as a group, and learn together with other people around the world. Or you may jump right in and decide you want to advance Abrahamic circles or other cooperation circles and start one yourself at school or in your neighborhood. And today we're going to learn together more about how to stand strong against hatred and bullying and violence. The sad story is that even though war in some places has decreased, religion-related violence has actually increased around the world. So it's not religious violence, because we value religion to support peace and compassion and justice. But in the name of religion, sometimes bullying and violence is committed. So we're concerned and we work together to end religiously motivated violence. So I just want to turn it to you to start. If you're going to be a good hate speech interrupter, or you're going to be skilled in stopping violence and bullying, you have to know yourself. You have to know what you stand for. So I'll start with a question. Just, shut your eyes, or don't, and imagine who's someone you really look up to. There's no right answer. Just think about someone you admire in history or in fiction or in your family tree or in your religion. So just get in mind someone you admire. And then ask yourself, what are the qualities you admire? Why do you admire this person? They're funny, they're loving, caring, peaceful. Why do you admire your hero or your role model? So let's go through a few images and see what you think of. Who's this? You guys don't know this person? Susie Ann Taufik, the great backhander. So what do you think? What do you think when just yell out a name, what do you think when you look at them? What inspires you? The quality. I give you permission to yell. Or maybe you don't. Courageous? They broke the norm. They're obviously athletic. Bold. Anything else? Are they funny? Do they have energy? Struggle. Overcoming. You're struggling to be a champion. Persistence. All right, here's another. Who's this? Gandhi, Mahatma Gandhi. So when you think of him, what are 3 words or a couple words that come to mind? Peace. Anything else? Wise. Nonviolence. Who's this? Mandela. So political icon from South Africa, ending apartheid. So when you think of Mandela, 26 years in prison. How many of you think you could last that long? 26 minutes? Maybe without your cell phone? So what's a couple other words with Mandela? Stoic? In the back, anything? Level-headed? One more word. What do you think? Imagine, what does it take to last 26 years in prison? Forgiveness. Every day he's probably forgiving. Who's this? Malala, the youngest, a teenager getting the Nobel Peace Prize. The others also got the Nobel Peace Prize, but here's the first Muslim woman girl, teenager. So when you think of Malala, what do you think of? Bravery? What else? Education. She stood for the right to have an education, girls' education. Fighter. So what about you all? If I had to ask for a volunteer, who wants to stand up and tell me like who their hero is? Could be someone completely different. You ready to do it? No? Shy? You don't have to be shy. Should I call on Clara? What do you think? Should we make Clara do it? She's my volunteer.
Right?
All right. All right, Clara. So when we were doing the exercise and you're thinking of someone you admire most in the world or in history, what's someone you came up with?
If I have to choose one, it would be Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him.
So the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, that's a huge idol. You know, a prophet, how beautiful and blessed. So what, you didn't know him personally, did you?
I might not be born those days. So yeah.
So when you think of the prophet, what 3 or 2 qualities do you think of or do you imagine for him?
I think his courage. He is very tolerant, and he has a good attitude that we have to do it as as an example, because he is trying to create peace not only for human beings but also for living things on earth.
So what did I hear? Peace, tolerance, and courage, right? So we look at that and we hear that from Clara, and this is for all of you to think about as well. Who are you and what do you stand for? If you don't figure out what you most admire and stand for, it'll be very hard for you to be a leader or to stick up or interrupt hate speech and trouble in the world. It takes courage. So Clara, can you say like that you also stand for courage and peace and tolerance?
Yes, I'm stand for it.
So again, we might say, if you'll follow my lead, like my name is Clara.
My name is Clara.
So some people say, I am Clara. But no, Clara is her name. It's not who she is at her core. We're talking about her like spiritual energy, her spiritual superpowers. So you say, my name is Clara and I stand for.
My name is Clara and I stand for.
And then what are the 3 things of the prophet?
For courage, tolerant, and have a good attitude.
So courage, tolerance, and ethics. And do you all know Clara? So do you believe her? So again, sometimes you can feel it in your body, like I stand for. So I say, my name is Jerry, and I stand for peace, justice, and light. That's me. So actually, you know more about me right now than what my CV or my resume says. It may say you'll learn. Who is this guy? Good looking guy, age 20. So this is me in a hospital, the good looking one in pain. I don't know who took this picture, but this was doing physical therapy after I lost my leg to a landmine in the Holy Land. See? The reveal. Pretty fancy, right? High tech. Are you jealous? This is a better looking leg than all of yours combined. So when I was 20 years old, or I grew up in a small town before I was 20, and it was mostly Christians and mostly white people, and I had never met someone Jewish or Muslim or black or brown in my life until I went to college. So I actually thought that my little town of 6,000 people in Massachusetts was kind of boring, and I wanted to get out. But everyone loves the town, very beautiful. But I go to college, and my roommate is black, and on my hallway, I have one Muslim, two Jews, two Asians, and another boring white person. All American. And I thought, wow, this is so much spicier than the boring, bland food I was being fed growing up. So that's when I first developed relationships and learned about Islam, Christianity, Judaism. I was raised Christian. I didn't understand what it meant that Jesus is Jewish. I was like, huh? Like, because I'd never been to a synagogue. I had never met a Jew. I didn't know the history or Hebrew. So I became the first non-Jew, the first Christian to graduate with a degree in Jewish studies. And when I was at the university, my professor says it's time to go to the Holy Land, go to Jerusalem, make a pilgrimage to the Holy Land and the holy sites. And I was having the best time, 20 years old, with good friends. And I go camping in the north of Israel, in the Golan, and out of the blue, the world explodes, and it turns out we have gone camping in a minefield. We are surrounded by landmines that were left over from the '67 war when I was just 4 years old. So that landed me in a hospital for 6 months. So my Abrahamic experience, even though it started innocent, became very painful. And I had to know who I was and how to overcome. No one told me how to get out of minefield. There was no class I took on it or how to overcome. I had to reach in deep to find my peace and my light and my resilience. So that's me. And then we fast forward, that's also me. I just want to say that your life will go on circles, Abrahamic circles, and zigzags. I didn't know that actually 14 years later, that I would have started and worked on a campaign to ban landmines around the world. 80 million landmines buried in over 80 countries. I wasn't very unique. Every 20 minutes, someone was getting blown up. Students, children, grandmothers, refugees. But we organized survivors and advocates all around the world, and we created the International Campaign to Ban Landmines that won the Nobel Prize in 1997. There was no class at school for that. We had to know who we were and what we stood for. And we stood for a landmine-free world where you can walk in nature unafraid. So again, I'm not trying to boast, but I didn't know I'd then write a book. I met thousands of survivors of war around the world, and they taught me their recipe for overcoming. And you learn that, as the guy said in the hospital to me, the problem is not down there. The problem or the challenge is in here, and in here, in your heart and your faith. It's not just your body, because we know we're more than our bodies. So this is what I work on with URI. We get to reach out all around the world and work to end religiously motivated violence. And that's the second book. Since you're in school, you guys can figure out how to get a copy, or I'm giving Clara a copy she can share. But it's about working together, finding our resilience. These are some of the hallmarks of resilience that you learn about and the research shows. Moral compass, faith, spirituality, humor. Having a sense of humor is one of the greatest signs of resilience. There's a lot of dark stuff in the world, and you need to bring light to it, sometimes to lighten up. You feel so heavy and depressed. Look for light, find humor. Don't take it so seriously. There's a lot of hard work to do, but we have to keep our light, our social support. No one survives alone. If you're feeling lonely and depressed, because we weren't made to be alone, and no one is alone. We're connected to divine, we're connected to Mother Earth, and we're connected to each other whether we like it or not. That's why the Abrahamic circles are so vital. We all are living connected in circles. So that's mostly what I wanted to say today. And now, as we talk about the topic, I want you to start by feeling who your positive, deepest self is. And then the 3 characteristics of leaders, true leaders, that you practice at your age. Sorry. You must learn to listen deeply, not to just what I'm saying, but feel into what am I trying to tell you. Ask questions, be curious, listen deeply. Next, a leader will always speak responsibly. Sometimes we make mistakes, sometimes I swear, sometimes I make bad jokes, but I learn to be careful with my words. As a leader, communicate, that means with your thumbs, as well as your mouth, in ways that are responsible and build up. Don't tear down, because words matter. And lastly, interrupt. That's what we're going to learn in the workshop. How to interrupt hateful, harmful, degrading conversations. And they show up in all of society is a series of conversations. And sometimes you hear sexism, racism, anti-Semitism, Islamophobia. And you can't be the word police, but you can feel yourself and say, that's not okay with me, Uncle Sam, that you talk that way, like it hurts me. So learning appropriately how to say, well, you know that's not true, right? You don't have to be in your face and threaten and be like, ah. It's not being reactive. Listen deeply, speak responsibly, and learn the skill of interrupting harmful words and conversations. So with that, I'll just stop and say thank you for listening to me, sort of deeply. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. I believe some of you have questions to Jerry, but just keep it first. So now we are moving on to Maria Crespo. The floor is yours.
Thank you, everyone. It's such a pleasure to be with you. I admire deeply Jerry. And when I'm sitting beside him and I hear his story, I would say, well, what would have been if I was in his place? Would I have had the courage? Would I have the strength to recover and then do the things that he did? But truth to be said, I have power. You have power. We can be protagonists. Hopefully, you don't step on a landmine, but every day we are close to landmines. It may be at home, or perhaps at school, or perhaps when we go out. We have a tool that we can use well or misuse. But all of us have words. Even if you cannot speak the words, you have sign language to share what you believe and stand with your values. Words can raise a person. There are loving words, there are appreciative words, there are words that lift up. The truth to be said, words also can harm, hurt, do bad, destroy a person. So let us work on words, the words that we use, the words that we can use. And all of us, put up your hands, those who use words in a daily basis. I do. Do you? Are you all silent all the time? No, right? You use words, right? So we all have the tools to do something against hate speech. You can do something to interrupt violence, hate speech. And also, you have the power of a small thing that everybody has in their hands, that is the phone, that has become something very useful and again can be used for harm, because there's a lot that we can do wrongly with the use of the phones. So the big sign said that we were going to talk about hate speech. What's hate speech? It is the speech that targets a group or individual as a member of a group, or a message that expresses hatred, a speech that causes harm. The speaker may be intending harm someone. The speech incites malicious actions. The speech is public or sometimes directed to a specific person. In the context, this hate speech may be harmful and make violence possible. And the speech has not a good redeeming purpose. We can use our words for all these. And of course, not every word that we use is dangerous in the same way. Sometimes you say, you run a joke in your school or in your group. You don't mean to harm anyone, but be careful because you may harm. Humor is perfect, as you said, Jerry, but truth to be said, sometimes humor is used to hurt, and this is not good. So we have to identify the context, the speaker, the situation, to identify if what we are saying or what we are doing is hate speech. But it is important that we identify the reasons why people engage on hate speech. Why do we at school say things that harm the other person? Why do we do that? Sometimes there are people that are just wanting to make fuss, want to laugh or want to create discussions at school. Sometimes you want to defend someone and then you are using harmful words. In other times, you can just hate for hate. There are people at school or in the community or in the family, Uncle Sam, as Jerry said, that they just are violent and would say things that hurt. And sometimes I am so sad when I see kids that are continuously hearing violent conversations from parents or from the family. And there are people that are there to offend, to bull. There are many of those in our classrooms or in our social media. Do you have other reasons to be, do you know other reasons to be hurtful in our words? Why do we hurt with our words? We could use our words to love and to bring others up. Why do we use hate? Why are we violent with our words? Can you imagine other reasons apart from the reasons that I said? Please? Yes? Yes, to make our arguments more powerful. Right, thank you. Another one? Yes. Yes, this is true. Sometimes we hurt without meaning to hurt. Sometimes we feel insecure about ourselves and use violent words to feel that we are strong. Or sometimes we really discriminate, or even we don't know that we are discriminating, but we heard this so many times that at the end, we are repeating something, even without being conscious. Thank you for that. Another reason to say harmful words? Yes. Projection. Sometimes we hate ourselves so much that we project and say ugly things to others. But in fact, we are hurting ourselves. There are many reasons. Also, one that I have discovered comes a lot is fear. We are afraid, and so we stand up with harmful words as if words will help the situation, and probably not. Fun? To be cool. Yes, thank you, Shital. Sometimes it seems that if you are laughing, if you are hurting, if you are denigrating someone, you are cool. Thank you. Hate speech can be in the classroom, in the family, but we have a situation here is that some years ago, social media is in our hands, is in our phones, is very close to us. So rather than having a violent situation in a small context, there is violent situation on social media, and it is very difficult to manage because you tell a joke, you think that it's just a joke, and you are offending. There are many stories about jokes in social media that ended very violently. And perhaps people don't know that they started in this small thing, and they did this small post, and finally that grew bigger. And at school, everybody laughed about this girl or that person or that religion. And that's harmful. So, thanks to social media and anonymity, it provides hate. Nobody knows who posted. It's difficult. It's easy to just to be anonymous and don't say who posted this photo, and that makes hate speech even worse. So, let us together spot hate speech. What are we going to do? First of all, what Jerry said, listen carefully. Pause. I don't like this post. What am I going to do with it? Second, my eyes are not helping me. So, good. So, is this true? You have to check. Sometimes you repeat or you repost something in social media, and you don't know if it is true. Sometimes you don't know enough. And this happens a lot with religiously motivated hate speech. You don't know about the religion of the other, and because you don't know, because of your ignorance, you are repeating something that is not correct. And you are growing hate speech. Also, you are challenges. challenge to stop. What are you going to do to stop with this? How are you going to support those suffering from hate speech? Perhaps in the classroom it's easy. Perhaps on social media it's difficult to show support. If you show support in a social media post, probably they'll start attacking you. And this goes bigger and bigger, and it's a never-ending hate. And then sometimes it's difficult to report. If something happens in the classroom or at the university, we may stop. But again, when it is on social media, it's difficult to report. But there are some ways that Facebook, Instagram allows us to report or block or do something that we may be interrupting violence. So, what else can we do? Let's think of the moments you interrupted violence or hate speech. What did you do? Have you ever stopped anyone being violent? Never, ever. Wow. I hope that after this training, you do. Please don't stop violence just knocking the violent person down, right? So we have words to build, we have attitudes, we can be protagonists. And again, Jerry is an amazing person, but you too are, and you can interrupt, and you can be strong enough to stop violent words at school, at home, on social media. So here we are in a context of navigating hate speech in a religious context. This beautiful, and I'm going to share the slides afterwards, so it will be easier for you to look at this, but all religions would say, don't harm, don't hurt. All religions tell us, build up others, help others, love your neighbor. It's not only in Islam or Christianity or Judaism, not only in the Abrahamic religions. Most of the religions will have a phrase, a sentence, a verses that will tell you, please do good. Or as our friend Muzi would say, the golden, don't do to others what you don't want to receive yourself. So this is a cooperation circle in Bosnia and Herzegovina that looked for all the phrases in the different religions that tell you, do not do harm. So there are many methods to counter hate speech. There are many studies about countering hate speech, but there are some experiments that say that if people are more emphatic, if you feel empathy with the others and interrupt, the levels of hate speech reduce. So it's not, sometimes when we think of war, we say, well, it is about politicians stopping war. I cannot do anything to stop war. I'm calling upon you because you can do something about interrupting hate speech. You have the power to help social media be better and better used than it is today. And it depends on you and me and everyone to take a stand. So here we are as 1,000 Abrahamic circles, and URI is we stand by you if you want to interrupt violence. You can, we can, and together we are powerful. Experiments say that if there are interrupters, hate speech decreases. If there are people who laugh at those who bully, if there are people who ignore social media posts that are violent, hate speech increases. So here I'm calling you. What is the position you are going to take? Are you going to be the protagonists that are able to stop, interrupt, and say no? We are working with what is called health approach, and we know violence is contagious. The father of the family went to work, the boss criticizes him, he comes home, he insults his wife because the food is cold. Yes, exactly. And then the mother goes to the child, go to bed, I told you to go to bed. And the little child would go with the cat. Yeah, boom. And the violence is a cycle that never stops. Health approach tell us, stop violence. And if you are able to stop the violence, that the cycle of violence, you have done a lot of good to yourself, to your family, to your school, to your community, and at the end, to the country and to the whole world. So I trust that you are able, I know you are able to stop violence. And I call upon you, please do it, because there's so much violence. We cannot handle that. We cannot live in a world that is so violent. We want to stop. Can we stop it together? Yes.
Great. Thank you so much, Maria, for your presentation, and Jerry. We have several minutes before moving on to the workshop. So here I will give the audience chance to ask questions. Now I'm opening for 3 questions first. Our team, please help for audience that have questions. So if you have any questions, please raise your hand. And I will help all of you if you would like to say it in Bahasa. Oh, please. Maybe I will count. 1, 2, 3. Which one do you? Oh, okay. This one first, and then the back side.
How do we counter hate speech if the hate speech has some followers and the followers will say it is a justifiable argument even though if it's still wrong?
Right.
We need to educate. So one of the things that Jerry was saying is listen carefully. So listen carefully to that argument. Try to understand where this person comes from and present your argument. And your argument will come from your values, the values of your religion, the values you were educated in, and invite others to be curious. So again, the argument may come from fear, may come from ignorance. So as you discover that, you may educate, you may tell the person, let's investigate together if you are right what you are saying of this or the other religion.
I have a real example that was very difficult. About a month ago, I was in Israel and Palestine, still during the war. And of course, there are missiles going and there's fighting and everyone is terrified. So the question was on both fronts. So let's say I talk to my Palestinian friends. And then also when I was in Dubai, my Muslim friends would say, I'm done with Israel. Can you believe it? And even with America, I never used to believe it, but I think the Jews control Americans, the USA, and control the world. I never thought I'd say that. And I'm a little shocked because that's anti-Semitic, but some people believe that. And so instead of getting all in their face, I would say, wow, Arif, that's interesting. I've never heard you say that before, but you know it's not true, right? So there are ways sometimes to use a question to interrupt something that's hot. And then we had a further discussion with less temperature, less heat. On the Israel side, I was on a kibbutz, which is like a farm, and there was a Jewish family during the Sabbath, and one person said, well, you know that Muslims or Arabs don't value life as much and children as much as we do. That's why they use children as human shields in Gaza. And but we, value every single life and every hostage. And I was like, well, I'm not, I'm also not Jewish. I have 4 children, and I value each and every one of them. And my Muslim friends and other friends, I've never met a mother who didn't love and cherish their child. So I hear the pain, and I've heard you say that it's a stereotype, but it's not true, right? So you stop it in their tracks, but your tone is important, and learning how to slow down a conversation. Or for some of you, you might get in fights on social media about Gaza, and sometimes I would ask, wow, you have such strong opinions, and there's a lot of pain and suffering in the world. Have you ever been there? Or do you know a Jewish family? It's not to make them defensive, but to say we must speak from what we know and challenge with questions as opposed to entering the fight and making it worse. Does that make sense? So it's all, you can do it in big ways and small ways, and I find that questions often help.
Great.
And you can go with questions that are personal. Be open in asking the questions. There is no right or wrong question if you do that with respect. So choose the question that feels burning inside of your heart.
Test. Good afternoon, everyone. For Mr. Jerry, what do you think about the difficulty of getting permission to build a place of worship in some places? For example, Muslims want to build their own mosque in Greece, or other religions besides Islam want to build their own place of worship, but it's very difficult to get permission, like in some place in inland of Indonesia. Thank you.
It's a great question that we see all over the world, not just Indonesia, but it's very important here as well. So if you remember what Maria was saying earlier, you find empathy. So one of the ways to have the conversation is to say, what are your values? Empathy, justice, fairness, equality, or what Indonesia might stand for, or what Islam might stand for. And the empathy is putting yourself in someone else's shoes. Well, that Christian also wants a place of worship, deserves the freedom of their belief, their tradition. They're people of the book. So if I were them, I'd also want a place to worship. And then, okay, fine, but not a big place. Whatever it might be. But I think it's not getting into a fight. It's understanding that we tapping into a conversation of values, fairness. I mean, in America, even the word equality sounds big, but you're like, that's not fair, really. Like, yes, there's room on this planet for the different faiths and their cemeteries and their right to worship and their steeple or their cross, that's their symbols. So Abrahamic circles will help teach you a vocabulary of fairness and acceptance and tolerance, maybe even deep appreciation over time. But it takes, so when you see someone lobbying or creating anger, like, they're trying to build a church, can you believe we must, burn it down or block them with the mayor? There will be people, and then one of the ways is you have to see who's loudest, who's the person creating the most obstacle. It rarely is the whole group. Very often it's the loudest person and some people who are afraid of the bully. So thinking about how to reach the bully, how to have a conversation. Is it your cousin who knows him better? So part of it is just learning the skills of interrupting. It's similar to what we're learning about hate speech, applies to religious freedom in your backyard. So you can actually just think of it more simply and then tap into fairness and humanity. That's a human being. They also have feelings, and they also have the right to worship in their God.
Great. Thank you for the questions. Is there any questions? Right. Okay, please. Yeah.
Cek cek. Oke. Oke, bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Usama Ibnu. I'm from Universitas Nahdlatul Ulama. I want to ask about violence. It's usually happen in our daily life that we found many violence happen in maybe around us or sometime we found it. But I see there's some violence that we can stop it by only with only with word. So my question is, if my question, are we need to stop violence by violence? But like what I have heard, we need to fight fire with fire. Okay, thank you.
I think you fight fire with water.
I have heard something like that before.
So I like the question. As Maria said, and the approach we take, and if you get the pamphlet from URI on how to prevent or end religiously motivated violence or any violence, again, remember, violence is a choice, a behavior, and it's contagious. It acts like a disease or an epidemic, like COVID. It will spread. So you have to understand it, that it's not something that's inevitable. It's a behavior that can be detected and stopped. So, of course, some people are interested in escalating violence, and you can look at their motivations and still use the same techniques to bring your water or interruption. So also the cure or kindness and peace can be contagious. So the health approach to violence is understanding, and the science of epidemics and the research on violence shows this. You should learn, there's a TED Talk you might want to watch we can send on curing violence, and it shows that, the same principles apply. Contagious behavior, and we can learn to interrupt it, detect it, vaccinate against it, to use the metaphor, with all of you becoming vaccinators, all of you becoming a type of mask to stop the spread. So violence begets violence, fire spreads fire, and so we know that hurt people hurt people. So, but we have no instance in like the history books, actually, when you do the studies after war and violence, that violence solves any problems. It always creates more problems than it solves, and collective trauma that can get into the system and the society, weakening the immunity of Indonesia or a body of people to be able to prevent. So violence is never the answer. Like Gandhi was absolutely right. Nonviolence is more effective in making change happen.
Great. Thank you. Before moving on to the next question, if some of you from the other auditorium have questions, please come here. And yeah, please, team, give the microphone to him first.
Is there a female question?
Sorry?
I mean, we're choosing all the boys in the class, so I want to hear from more people.
Okay, I will start. Okay, good afternoon. So I want to ask to Miss Maria. So in my question is how to reduce hate speech and attach between students. For example, in South Tangerang area, because I see a lot bullying in the school environment, which is exposed to social media. Thank you.
Thank you for that question. And yes, when we speak about violence, we don't have to go very far from where we are. And one of the contexts where there's a lot of violence is at school. And there are many reasons why this happens. Usually at school we are growing, and this brings insecurity. And this brings a lot of possibility for people that are wounded that want to wound. And so for me, and perhaps I am a little bit naive, only with an atmosphere of love and respect, we can stop bullying. But it has to do with the others. Are you paying attention? Yeah. So if there's someone bullying, what makes it worse is the people around the buller that laugh or that are so afraid of this person bullying because he might or she might bully me that they accompany the person that is doing bullying. So to respond to your question, the more that we strengthen the capacity and the skills of the interrupters, of persons that can say, I won't follow you in this. This is too harmful. What if you were in the same situation? And if there are interrupters, it's clear in the data that the more interrupters, the less bullying, the less hate speech. And in social media, if we stop, I have to tell you a story. I have my very good companion at school. I love Estela. She's best friend. We were at school every day. And one day I saw a post. She was trying to be funny about Islam. And I called her and said, Estela, have you seen the post that you shared? Did you pay attention to that? This type of posts have originated a lot of harm. Maria, you are so strange. Nobody said anything about this post. Everybody laughed at what I posted. Are you so strange to feel that this is... Sorry, Estela, I love you, but I have to tell you that this shows your ignorance about Islam. Do you want me to tell you how Islam is a religion for peace? Do you want me to tell you how many Muslims are there in the world? And if they are what you are characterizing, we are in danger. This is not true, Estela. And it was difficult. She is my best friend. She was a little bit upset at me, I have to say. But I think I did well. And now wherever she says something that is wrong, she would say, I know you don't like this, so you don't do it. And I love her, and I value her. But I have to say, she's a little bit ignorant. And I hope that after many times, she will start studying Islam and know better about Islam.
Right, and we have our last questions, thankfully from female, so please.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Mr. Jerry and Ms. Maria. I have a question. So my name is Mutiara. You can call me Tiara, and I used to live in the United States of America as an Asian student. During my exchange year, I feel like I was experiencing kind of like a discrimination because I'm a Muslim. That's why I took off my hijab. Someone forced me to get into Christianity.
It's okay. We have all time of the world.
So someone forced me to join Christianity. Thank you. And I realized that in her statement there are some misunderstanding, and I tried to like explain it to her. She said that Muslim hate Jesus, Muslim hates I don't know, everyone hate Jesus. She said that, and I just explained to her that no, we're not hating Jesus. We believe in Jesus, but not as God, but as prophet. And in Islam, we respect other religions and we believe in tolerance. I try to explain it to her, but she still says to me that she thinks that I'm in the wrong path and I will get it someday. She said that to me. And my question is, how can we do as someone younger, as a teenager, to respond to that kind of situation and to that kind of people with while still standing for our own beliefs and ideology? Thank you.
Question.
I have to say, fundamentalism is something that happens in all of our religions. And we are here because we want to stop that. She was, of course, wrong. The beliefs of one faith don't compete with the belief of the other faith. I am Christian. You are Muslim. And the way to deal with it is respecting that you are grounded in your own religion and that I am grounded in my own religion. And so I understand your pain, and my heart is beating very strongly at this moment. But this person that did this to you was wrong. You cannot say that the other is wrong and that the path is wrong. We are diverse. One time we went to a school to do something similar to this, and the kids had written very big notice and say, God made us diverse and we made ourselves distant. In Spanish, it's kind of a play of the words. Dios nos hizo distintos y nosotros nos hemos hecho distantes. That we are different is beauty. That we are different is a gift of God. If you see a garden and there are many flowers, this is a beautiful garden. If you see an orchestra and you see different instruments playing in unison, this is a beautiful music. If you go to a choir and you see sopranos and tenors and different voices, this is a beautiful choir. A choir with same voices is not rich. A garden with one type of flower perhaps is not as beautiful. And a community without the diversity of personalities and the diversity of religions and the diverse physical diversity is boring, it's terrible, it's not the way that we want, because we want to learn from each other. I have learned a lot from my Muslim friends, from my Jewish friends, from my agnostic friends, from those indigenous friends that I have learned to love through URI. So I'm sorry for the pain that a Christian caused you, because I'm a Christian. So I apologize in the name of Christianity.
I just want to add one.
Yes.
I had something similar, so I'm very sorry to hear, even as someone from another country in faith coming and experience that exclusion and hate. And so it makes me very sad as well. When I first went to college, I'm a Christian, and I was raised Catholic, and I faced the very same thing by other Christians. So even within our faith, so someone said, well, you're Catholic? Catholics are going to hell. Didn't you know that? The Bible does not say. And so started to say things I had never heard and use scriptures against me. You know, and I was like you, I was hurt, confused, and thought like, yikes, I don't understand these Southern Baptists. And why are they making me like I'm going to hell? So it took me a while, like maybe it takes all of us to learn. You're so stunned that you're like, what? Like, I thought you were my friend, like or how ignorant. So it's coming out of fear ignorance or what they've been told and don't know any better. So I'm so sorry that you had to feel the pain. I too felt that pain and confusion. But later on, I learned, even when I was in the hospital, and Christians came to me and prayed over my leg, Pentecostal Christians, and they wanted my leg that I had gangrene for it to heal before surgery. So I had 4 Christians, I'm in a wheelchair, and they're praying, and they're saying, well, you don't have enough faith to heal yourself. Like, I'm to blame. So I, as a Christian, have experienced abuse from people of my own faith in a very vulnerable state where I'm like, I don't know, maybe I don't have enough faith. Like, I cried too. And over time, you learn your spiritual resilience, and you learn about other people's ignorance, and you're able to learn to say, well, that's fine. I know you think I'm going to hell, but you can't push me there. I'm not worried about my soul and my relationship with my Creator. And lastly, we'd say the prophet, peace be upon him, in the Quran, when it says there is no compulsion in religion, that's where you can turn the tables and say like, no, the fruit of the Spirit, as Christians say, is peace, freedom, love, gentleness, kindness. So their own scriptures, you can tell when someone's angry and they're trying to compel you. And that's a type of violence. It's like a religious violence of a different type, conversion. And you have to learn, it takes practice, and you went through a big test. But I see your resilience, even being able to have the courage to share, and I just want to say thank you.
Thank you so much, Jerry and Maria. So sorry, everyone. We have to stop all of you because we have another session. But this is, thank you, Tiara, for sharing with us today. Please give a hand for her. And so here I would like to give you a brief conclusion on today's discussion. So first, it is important for us to have a role model and take their qualities as our part to stand for. If you stand for your role model, learn about their qualities and take it as your quality. And the second one, word is able to raise person, but it may be harmful, even destroy people, as we heard from our friend. And so it is important for us to be able to be interrupter. And we believe that all of you will have a practice on the workshop session. And here I would like to give the floor back to Jason. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Clara, for moderating today's discussion, and thank you to the speakers for sharing your very, very valuable insights. Before we proceed to the workshop session, I invite the speakers and the moderator to stand in the center of the stage to have a quick photo session. Okay, thank you, Jerry, Maria, and Clara. Okay, without further ado, moving on to the next agenda. After we learn about preventing and interrupting violence, we will have a workshop session that will be led by Shital Vidya and Angie Latif. So without further ado, please welcome Shital and Angie.
All right. Workshop is the best part of after the discussion because it is a test on the very first slide. So can we go in the first presentation and go to a slide which says listen deeply. We had this characteristics of a good leader. So we will now see if you have listened deeply, learned from what Jerry and Maria have shared, and what is it that you have picked up in this quick first hour. So we'll do a little practical. And to add to what both of them have added, Jerry stepped on a landmine and broke one of his leg. And all of us have stepped on a landmine. And we are blowing ourselves every hour by looking into that screen and taking in things that may not be helpful. So the next piece, where we have listened deeply. Okay, so it's not here. All right, so words have power, and we'll begin from here. And we have heard your questions where you have some things that, what do we do about this? So what we will now do is we are sitting in a row of, shall we do a group of 5? So 5 people each. So people sitting next to you, behind you, your friends, people who you're not okay, and we'll do it later on, hang on. You will choose a topic that is bothering you. It could be something that is happening in your school, in your university, in your day-to-day life, in your family. And you will discuss. So can we go to the first slide? Yeah. The one above. Who is clicking? Okay. So choose a topic where you are encountering hate speech in your daily life. It could be something on social media that is affecting you. Your favorite actor is being trolled and you feel strongly called to oppose. It could be that also. Like, we have many examples. Within the group that you choose, you will discuss and you will come up with what are the actions that will create a peaceful state. So you will have
And I would encourage to not focus on too much about the details of the case. I would put into perspectives, even if you're one voice about that case, if you have the same point of view and you support one side of the story, maybe try to have a little role play with your own mind that, okay, what if I have the other perspective? And try to act like you're gonna be on the other side of the story and ask questions pretending that you're the other side of the story and discuss that among the group, your small group, and discuss those skills that we heard before.
So I think to clarify or explain what we are just blabbering, we'll do a little skit. It's a 30-second drama that Maria, me, and Angie have prepared today. So we want to go back to our school. We are growing old and we love to be in high school. So come up, Maria. We'll show what we are saying.
And Angie is 13.
I have just come in, it's my fresh admission to this college.
Maria, have you heard about that new Hindu girl that comes to our college?
Yes, she's beautiful and she brings a lot of culture and difference.
Yeah, I know, but she's kafir.
Do you know what kafir is? Do you know Hinduism a little?
She doesn't believe in Allah, and she prays to so many gods.
Wow, as a Christian, I'm so amazed to learn about that. I'm curious. Do you think that we can speak with Shital about her faith?
No, I prefer that I want to post on Instagram that we have a weird girl coming who prays to so many different gods. Can you imagine who's going to answer the prayer if you pray different gods? And she eats so many weird food. She asked so many different foods in the canteen earlier.
Angie, I think that you are a little bit weird.
I'm weird?
You are the weird.
Hi.
Hello, Shital. How are you? Nice to meet you.
Thank you, Maria.
Well, Welcome to this school.
Thank you. This is my first day, and I was searching for the canteen, and I'm a little.
Oh, Shital, let me accompany you. Auntie, do you want to accompany Shital to the canteen?
Hi, Angie.
I introduced
Angie,
this is
I have
Shital.
a friend who looks exactly like you in India. I have a friend who looks like you in India.
Who prays to different gods?
Well, we can talk about it, Angie.
Sure.
Angie, take care.
Okay.
Don't do that, please.
Okay. We'll talk about it, I guess.
Why don't you ask a question? Be curious about Shital.
So, what is exactly Hinduism?
Oh, that's a difficult question, but I would say that we believe that everybody is one, and it's rooted in finding that oneness.
I guess you're not a kafir. And we'll go to the canteen.
Let's go to the canteen. Come on, have fun.
Thank you. All right, so you don't have to act. If you do, that's your creative way of communicating, then feel free. But that's just one example of a case that you can choose. It can be also totally not related to faith if you'd like. If you personally experience any hate speech, if it's about timnas, if it's about, I don't know, K-pop, then do it as long as you can relate to that story and can have a fruitful conversation about it. Okay? Although we have rules of the game. So we're gonna have 15 minutes of breakout into small groups. And those of you in the other room, we don't forget about you. Please have those conversations. And when we go back to the large group and debrief, then you can send somebody into this room and we will hear about your experience.
Can all of you see the rules of the game here?
Okay,
Can
the
you see the
first rule
screen?
of the game, always pause first. When you hear something, pause first. Listen deeply, not just listen through your ears, but process with your brain and think with your heart as well. And every time you speak, every word you speak, speak with respect and responsibility. You have responsibility through your words. So you need to apply empathy and curiosity. And when it gets too much and too heated, interrupt. If the conversation, whatever real or hypothetical the conversation's gonna be, and you feel like it's too much, just step back and always feel free to end the discussion or grab one of us. We will be happy to.
So clear about
Mediate.
what we are supposed to do. Raise
Got
your
it?
hands with your groups. What are the four
So
groups here?
if you wanna,
Yes.
okay,
So
so
we
if you
have-
wanna move the chairs and face each other, 5 or 6 people, let's do that in the next 15 seconds.
And we have 10 minutes for this process. So you have 10 minutes to choose a topic and apply your learnings. Oh, we have some gadgets that have come.
So you can just turn in your seat or move the chair around, up to you.
You are weird. You are weird. Keep the violent Maria rather than the positive Maria. Yes, violence is contagious.
Okay, if everyone got their groups, then go ahead and choose your topic and get into your discussion.
Tes. Hai guys, siapa yang belum dapat kelompok? Kalian belum dapat kelompok ya? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Kalian bisa jadi satu kelompok ya guys. Karena ini berapa menit kak? 10 menit lagi. Kalian harus kasih representasi dari tiap grup kalian untuk nanti menjelaskan ke sini. So jangan menghabiskan waktunya untuk tidak... Ya, oke. Terus aku juga mau kasih informasi nih teman-teman yang tadi disampaikan sama Kak Enji dan Kak Shital itu hanya role play aja gitu. Jadi kalian nggak harus bikin drama itu, tapi diskusikan tentang apa yang menjadi concern kalian di hate speech gitu. Dan jangan lupa menjawab pertanyaan dari apa aksi yang kalian pikirkan untuk membuat perdamaian di esok hari. Apakah jelas teman-teman? Oke. Good luck everyone. pakai bahasa Indonesia aja ya. Cuma nanti yang kesini, yang ke depan itu pakai bahasa Inggris. Enggak apa-apa. Nanti dibantu sama KNG untuk translation. Jadi feel free ya guys. Oke.
The debrief is not going to be acting out what you're discussing, but it's more of like a reflection. What did you learn from discussions? What skills did you apply? Okay, 5 more minutes. And it doesn't have to be in English.
All groups. All groups. All groups. Come back. Wake up. Time up. Time up. Time up. Time up. Okay, who is the first one going up?
Okay,
You want to go first?
attention.
That's the bubbling group. No, they want to go first.
Tangan naik semua, semuanya tangannya naik, semuanya tangan naik, semua tangan naik. Naik. Tangan turun. Tangan naik. Tangan turun. Sekali lagi, tangan naik.
We can call the groups.
And down. Oke. Perhatian lagi inbox, yay. See, I still got that joke. Don't test me. Oke, sekarang kita mau masuk ke sesi debriefing. Teman-teman yang dari ruangan sebelah, kalau ada mau ngirim perwakilan silahkan. Mau import. Now we're gonna have one perwakilan from each group untuk ngebahas 1 atau 2 menit aja, jangan panjang-panjang. There's 13 groups. We have 13 groups from 2 rooms. Apa yang mau kalian bahas adalah apa 3 skill yang kalian pelajari dan kalian apply selama tadi exercise, okay? So the question, what are the 3 tools you learn and applied during the exercise? Jadi nggak usah bahas terlalu banyak tentang tadi ngomongin apa aja, but focus on this question. Kalau misalkan mau bilangnya pakai bahasa Indonesia, boleh, nanti aku bantu translate. Oke? Perwakilan pertama, go ahead.
Berdiri emang.
You only have how many minutes? Angie.
Siap.
2 minutes.
Teman-teman izin, selamat sore. Kami dari PT IKI, Universitas PT IKI Jakarta. Dari DEMA, Dewan Eksekutif Mahasiswa PT IKI Jakarta. Kami di sini ingin berperan bahwa teman-teman yang cowok merasakan mungkin tanpa kita tidak sadari, kini harus dibahas di sini. Ya, ini adalah sebuah pertongkrongan yang ada di kalangan anak muda sekarang, tapi ada intimidasi sedikit tentang bullying. Ya, boleh kita praktek ya. 1 menit dari kemarin. Ya. Perhatikan, boleh diri. Ayo kocok dulu cepetan. Lama banget kartunya dikocok. Ayo. Ayo. Yo. Ini gak ada rokoknya. Kemana rokoknya? Rokok mana rokok? Rokok mana rokok? Beli dulu. Mana? Monyet, sini. Dibilangin tuh nurut. Sujud. Nah, cepat dulu, nurut dulu sini. Beli rokok di warung Madura. Ya. Jangan ngelawan, dibilangin, ya. Beli rokok nih. Kembaliannya jangan lo ambil. Oke? Disimpan di kantong gua. Ya. Nurut lo bilangin ya. Oke? Buruan, pergi. Ya. Cepat. Ayo cepat beli rokok. Nah gitu. Kita sambil nunggu rokok. Lanjut lagi main ya. Jangan jauh-jauh beneran ke rumah Madura. Orang tutup.
Stop. Ini ganteng-ganteng ini masa dibilang monyet sih? Antum-antum ini gimana sih? Gak boleh kayak gitu ya lain kali. Nah ini salah satu contoh tongkrongan yang salah satu orang itu sering dibully lah, sering disuruh-suruh dan sering dikata-katain. Mungkin itu saja yang dapat kita sampaikan.
Ya, itu fakta anak muda. Terima kasih.
Makasih banyak. That was such a fresh performance. And actually the application that they're doing is to interrupt. And he didn't interrupt right away, right? He waited until there's a pause. He didn't jump in right away while the boss is on it. Jadi dia tunggu dulu. Pas si bos lagi marah-marah, dia nggak langsung interrupt. So that was the pause being applied. We're gonna have the typing so we can actually type that they applied pause and refocus the shift that he's handsome. He's also, so being a human, humanizing the other person, ngebilang bahwa, ini orang ganteng loh, ini ciptaan Tuhan juga kan, jangan dibilang monyet, don't call him a monkey. So good job, thank you. All right, next group. You don't have to act it out as long as we can keep it under 2 minutes. Just what you applied, what's the case, okay?
Cek. Ya, perkenalkan kami dari kelompok Bahagia. Jadi pada sore ini kita akan mempraktekkan di mana manusia yang sangat rakus. Mungkin ada pesan-pesan nanti di dalam agenda ini. Oke, langsung saya rolling action.
Roti lu hilang. Iya. Buat tahu siapa yang ambil. Si gendut ini.
Oh, lu bisa nuduh dia?
Jelasin.
Iya tahu dia tadi ngantongin diam-diam. Iya nggak nafsu kan? Iya gue lihat tuh. Iya tadi saya lihat. Wah iya.
Lu ngambil roti gua.
Aku lu. Bohong lu gendut.
Wah ilah ilah.
Periksa ya.
Periksa. Buka celananya.
Ini dia.
Oh kan.
Wah lu parah lu.
Lu udah jelek, rakus. Kalau bukan barang sendiri tuh jangan diambil apa? Lu tuh nyadar udah jelek, rakus lagi. Gimana lu nggak mau dibenci sama orang?
Hei, teman-teman, ada apa ini? Jadi gini teman-teman, kita ini sesama muslim. Teman-teman sini mayoritas muslim, betul? Betul. Maka dari itu teman-teman tidak boleh saling mengejek satu sama lain. Karena dalam Al-Quran juga surah Al-Hujurat ayat 11, itu terbukti dalil bahwasanya A'udzubillahi minasyaitonirrajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ya ayyuhalladzina amanu la yasharu qaumun min qaumin asa ayyakunu khairum minhum wala nisa'un min nisa'in asa ayyakuna khairum minhunna wala talmizu anfusakum wala tanabazu bil ilqab bi'sal ismul fusuqu ba'dal iman wa man lam yatub fa ulaika humuz zalimun. Jadi sesungguhnya wahai orang-orang beriman, janganlah suatu kaum mengolok-olok kaum yang lain, karena boleh jadi mereka yang diperolok-olok lebih baik daripada mereka yang mengolok-olok. Dan jangan pula perempuan mengolok-olok perempuan lain, karena boleh jadi perempuan yang diperolok-olok lebih baik dari perempuan yang mengolok-olok. Janganlah kamu saling mencela satu sama lain, janganlah saling memanggil dengan gelar-gelar yang buruk, seperti tadi yang dicontoh kelompok sana. Kemudian seburuk-buruknya panggilan adalah panggilan yang buruk atau panggilan fisik setelah beriman, dan barang siapa yang tidak bertaubat maka mereka itulah orang-orang yang zalim. Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you. Very good. So the application that you're doing is using religious sources straight away. So they can't argue about that and how it is relatable to the case, which includes physical insult and even physical act, right? And also menuduh, right? Menuduh orang, memfitnah orang, terutama terhadap fisiknya. So the key takeaway is using your own knowledge so that when you have paused. Good job. Thank you. Next. Yes, other room. What was your key takeaway?
Okay, so good day, everyone. I'm Crystal from the other group. So the problem that we recognize right now, it's about hate to women. We realize that there's a lot of gender equality that hasn't been maximized yet. And three things that we want to highlight is that we must be critical, we have to know ourselves, we have to understand the status quo right now, and also know how to respond. We see here that there's a framework that we need to realize that we all have to be open-minded. People don't want to act because they feel that they haven't experienced that yet. They haven't experienced hatred, so they hate. So that's why we want to educate with them and just having, and we want to like practice the power of words that influences our minds. And what we compile it with into groups, which is online and offline. Our action would be for the online, when people hate us, we have to normalizing blocking people. We have to, because we can see that
the social media itself, it is a home for us. Don't let other people interfere our peace, interfere our knowledge, and make us insecure just because they're jealous of us. So let's normalize that. And for the offline one, we can call them out, we can educate to they itself, and also we realize that there's a lot of people that do hate to other people, do hate to religion because they don't have an exposure, they don't have an opportunity. So that's why we as the one who are privileged needs to give them the opportunity itself. Thank you.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Putri. I'm from Venus University. The issues we have discussed are content about politics, especially the 2024 presidential election. Hateful comments against dynastic politics in the 2024 general election are a very sensitive issue that requires serious attention. These hateful comments can take the form of ethnic, religious, racial, or intergroup-based hate speech, and can also take the form of slander, false news, or hoax campaigns aimed at destroying reputations or influencing voters' decisions. Hateful comments also like this can have a significant negative impact on democracy and political stability. They can influence voters' decisions, destroy individuals' reputations, and exacerbate social and political conflicts. In some cases, these hateful comments can even lead to violence or attacks against the target individuals or group. So that's why we have discussed for the resolutions, and I will tell you. The first one is education and awareness. Public education and awareness about the importance of free speech and spotting hateful comments can help reduce the frequency of hateful comments. And maybe also for cooperation between the government, media, and civil society can help stop the spread of hateful comments and ensure security in the electoral process. And then last one is elimination of hate speech. Eliminate hate speech online as it affects public opinion. Hate speech can be accessed via the internet anywhere and at any time, which can lead to violate social conditions, such as during campaigns where differences in political preferences are amplified. Hate speech has the potential to trigger social strife. For this reason, active involvement from various parties is needed to stop the spread of harmful information, encourage the use of as a safe and friendly internet. By taking these steps, we can stop the spread of hateful comments and ensure security and political stability in the elections process. Thank you.
Thank you. You just gave us the summary of the entire panel and workshop. Good. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, Tiara.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tiara from Mutiara Baru Senior High School. And the topic that we're talking about here, that my group's talking about, are about colorism as the cause of racism in Indonesia. Who can relate here? When you were a child, your parents forbid you to play outside for too long because they will be afraid that you will get tan, get darker skin, or something like that, as if it's a bad thing when it's actually not. So to tackle colorism, racism, and like discrimination over religion, we want to create a volunteer action or volunteering project that promoting diversity and multicultural understanding. We can create workshops that can be a melting pot to understand each other differences and do some socializations to teach about tolerance to schools and to places that accommodate the marginalized people. So that we can reach more variety of social classes in Indonesia. These volunteers will be campaigning about think inclusively and being open-minded. Second, tackle the beauty standards-based mindset. Third, promote it with like maybe anti-racism movie or something like that. And fourth, be brave to speak up for yourself. Also, listen and speak respectfully to others. Educate parents and future parents about colorism, because it all starts from the family. When your parent teach you to do this kind of actions, that kind of mindset will stick in your head, and you will think like that for the rest of your life, or maybe when you're an adult. bad things is not actually bad things. Being tan, play outside, be friends with other religion, it's not a bad thing at all. It's it's a media for you to learn about each other, religion and cultures. Thank you so much.
Beautiful. Thank you. There was so many layers. Beauty standards, racism, and also education that comes internally from your closest environment. All right, next group. Another great. Another export. Do you mind if we go here first? Next, no, next in line. Sorry.
Good evening, everyone. I'm sorry. Maybe I speak with Indonesia.
Boleh.
Tadi kita udah diskusi mengenai perbedaan. Kita bilang mazhab ya. Kita dalam satu kepercayaan ada perbedaan, bahkan dalam satu agama pun ada perbedaan. Tadi kita diskusi tentang kunut dan zikir berjamaah, yang mana Islam juga ada banyak ragam tentang pembacaan kunut dan zikir dalam sholat. Dan ketika kita melihat itu, mungkin ada beberapa dari kita yang mengatakan itu adalah bid'ah. Nah, tapi ketika sebelum kita mendengar orang lain mengatakan, oh ini bid'ah, ini tidak boleh, ini tidak dilakukan oleh Nabi pada masa lalu.
Boleh dijelaskan bagi yang mungkin nggak kurang tahu kalau bid'ah itu seperti apa?
Bid'ah itu adalah hal baru yang memang tidak dilakukan pada masa Nabi, dan itu adalah hal yang memang sebenarnya dibolehkan dan juga ada batasannya. Selagi itu masih positif dan itu diperbolehkan untuk melakukan pembaruan itu. Contoh seperti yang dilakukan oleh kebanyakan mayoritas Muslim di Indonesia yang menganut kunut itu berjamaah di setiap subuh. Ada juga mungkin sebagian yang kunut hanya di bulan Ramadan, di setengah akhir dari Ramadan. Nah, sebelum kita mengatakan bid'ah, kita harus menanyakan terlebih dahulu kepada mereka dari mana asal kepercayaan mereka untuk kunut ini di setiap sholat subuh misalnya, atau zikir berjamaah. Kita harus mempertanyakan dahulu mereka dapat ini dari mana, dalilnya apa, dan ini dasarnya dari imam siapa. Seperti itu. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So basically we covered that when there's a difference within the religion, within the teaching, and you disagree, or if you think that this is not something you believe in, instead of judging them right away and saying, because you also might not be in a place to say you're wrong, right? Or giving it a title of that it's bid'ah, which is something that was not done by the Prophet, peace be upon him. Instead of trying to be that teacher right away, you ask them. So you apply curiosity, correct? You apply curiosity. Where did you get that knowledge from? Which imam did you hear it from? And why did you believe that? And listen, right? Thank you so much. You will change the world. Yes.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Felix. I'm from University of Indonesia. My major is in philosophy. But before I, explain the main topic itself, let me introduce my team on the other part of room. There is a Satrio. Thanks to Satrio, Joshua, Norma, Ila, Charits, and Bagus. So I need to mention them because this part of everything inside of it is not mainly because of me, but part of a group work. So yeah. Before we contextualize, before we seek to cure the illness of conflict itself, we must first diagnose it, analyze it, right? Before we give it a cure, before we give it the medicine to the conflict, we must analyze it. And after analyzing thing and dialectics with my friends, we assume that there is like a lot of problem, like the main problem or like the main illness of conflict itself. Like there is an ego, like homogeneous cultural superiority or class classification of like being rich or pure, and there is like a judgmental things and etc etc. And after we contextualize, after we diagnose like the illness of the conflict itself, we can assume like what's the conclusion, like what's the solution for our problem, like what's the cure like for our problem. Like if our like like to mention like one of the great philosophers is Jürgen Habermas that say like dialectics is one of the key in solving the problem itself, not the strategic dialectics. Like for example like this, if I will assume you as my object of my object of argumentation, if I will assume you as not a subject, not an individual, it will means that I'm using you as my means to an end. It would be like I'm not appreciating you at all. So like our cue to that kind of illness, like to egoistic, homogeneous superiority, the class judgmental, is to dialectic and reconciliation. What it means, like with dialectics and reconciliation, is by education, like like the part of Indonesian education, and the society itself. In what I mean by education is like we every day, like in our school, our class, if we like disagree with our teacher, it will like such a blasphemy to do that. It will like such such an insult to, if I didn't agree with you, like no, it's not like that. It's such an insult, right? We must erase a thing like that because like in that kind of disagreement, there is a lot of classification, like you're higher than me. So we will like to not using other people as our object of study, but as a subject, as an individual. And in part of society itself, in our family, like it stands like, let's say like I'm the only children like in my family, right? So if I were like to raise an argument against my father, no father, it's not like that. Like there is another way. Like my father would say to me like, no, you will disobey me, right? There's sort of a classification itself on the families. So what we need to do is to see people, to see other people like this as a human being, not as an object. If like Immanuel Kant say that, not using other people as a means to an end, but looking at people as an individual itself. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. There was a nice touch on humanizing again, right? We see a repetition in the values here, humanizing, memanusiakan, whichever your role is. Then speaking up out of respect can be done without being rude or disobeying or being a bad child or a bad student.
Can I like add a bit more, like, and that kind of contextualize is through dialectics, like through dialectics and reconciliation. Like we don't need to like agree on one thing. Like I can have my faith and your faith, and it doesn't mean like my faith and your faith will become one objectively. Like I can assume like my faith is only mine and still agree on you because I look you as a subject. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for that clarification. Next. We haven't seen anyone from the back or the corner. Back or corner? Anyone from the corner? Or the back? Yes.
Hello, everyone. My name is Faiz. I'm here with a friend of mine. We're from Philosophy of University of Indonesia. We also have friends from IPDN and from PT IKI. So the one topic that we talked about was about the recent unfortunate news that we heard about. We heard about the unfortunate passing of Iran's president, Said Ibrahim Raisi, due to an unfortunate crash. And we saw how it sparked a lot of hate speech in the comments on the news, and we see it as multi-layered and multifaceted. Like for instance, we see here here where majority are Sunnis. I have personally seen comments such as, "Oh, this president is Shia. Is it right for us to pray for him?" And so I've saw sparks of anti-Shia sentiments from the majority Sunni Muslims here on the news of his passing. And also I saw on the others from the other side of the world. I mean, uh, uh, we've seen critics against the Iranian government, of course, due to human rights cases and such. And then on the other side of the news platform, on an international news platform, we've seen how Western media, or if I have to say it bluntly, the Western community, they tend to make it a good news, as if it's something to be celebrated, like that. Oh, it's a good thing that he's dead. He has blood on him. And on the other side, we've also seen that there are actual Shia communities that are deeply reverent of him. That, as we know, he's not just a president; he's also a cleric. He's also a sayyid. So there are people who actually honor him and take his words, and it's very saddened to hear his death. So yeah, so we see that there are religious assumptions and also political assumptions that can cause people to speak really insensitively about such tragic news, not just not just from being another branch of Islam, but just maybe if you're a Western liberal, you can say very bad things when you see on such things. So maybe the three takeaways that we would say uh, about seeing such comments and hate speech, we would say that first of all, it's very necessary for us to have intellectual humility. That is the acceptance that we don't know everything, that it is better to speak quiet, to be quiet than speak on things that we don't know anything about. And then the second is willingness to dialogue. That is open-mindedness. That is to be able to understand positions that is different from you, whether it be another religion, a different branch of your religion, or a different political view. And the third, like has been mentioned, we would also say self-restraint. That is when we see such trolls and fake accounts on the internet, and of course it's meaningless to try to make meaningful dialogue to them. Yeah, the best thing we can do is just stop adding fire to the fire and just block them and report them. That's all I can say. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I think this is very important for me to repeat again because you raised very great points. I will repeat it in Indonesian. Karena tadi ada key takeaway pertama yang sangat penting adalah intellectual humility. I really like that karena banyak sekali orang yang berargumen, especially di sosial media, yang langsung marah padahal dirinya sendiri tidak tahu. Jadi marah karena ketidaktahuannya. Banyak hate speech itu terjadi karena mereka tidak tahu. Kita udah diskusikan tadi sebelumnya, kadang orang melakukan hate speech karena mereka takut, karena mereka insecure, dan karena mereka tidak tahu. Jadi kita harus rendah hati, bukan rendah diri, rendah hati akan ketidaktahuan kita dan be okay bahwa kita tidak tahu. Terima kasih banget udah mengangkat itu, dan tentunya kalau kita punya berita dan orang-orang membahas tentang berita itu, ingat bahwa berita itu multi-layer, okay? Dan respon terhadap berita itu multi-layer, multifaceted, banyak faktor terhadap argumen-argumen itu. Jadi makasih banget. Thank you. Anyone else? On the back. We like to see back and corners speaking up. Boleh berdiri biar bisa.
Oke. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Izin ngomongnya pakai bahasa Indonesia karena nggak biasa pakai bahasa Inggris.
Nggak
Kita
apa-apa.
dari mahasiswa Unusia biasanya pakai bahasa Arab ya. Gitu.
Intellectual humility.
Alasan aja sebenarnya. Jadi kita sebagai mahasiswa universitas yang di bawah naungan Nahdlatul Ulama itu diajarkan biasa ada namanya sifat tawasud, tawazun, tasamuh, dan i'tidal. Di mana ketika ada perkara terjadi permusuhan antara satu orang dengan orang lainnya, kita tidak berat sebelah dalam membelanya, tapi menjadi orang yang memberi solusi atas permasalahan itu. Gitu. Contoh sebuah kejadian ketika kami mengadakan santunan anak yatim. Santunan anak yatim ini sedikit berbeda konteksnya. Santunan anak yatim di kampus kami yang dilakukan oleh PKPMI Unusia pada saat itu. Santunan anak yatim itu ada 15 orang dan panitianya dari kita-kita juga, dari teman-teman juga. Kebetulan pesen nasi kotaknya ada 20, jadi sisa 5. Yang satu dimakan sama panitia. Harusnya panitia makannya beda, bukan dari nasi kotak anak yatim itu. Terus panitia yang lain minta juga, boleh nggak saya minta satu? Nggak boleh, ini khusus anak yatim. Loh kok kamu makan? Karena saya yatim juga. Kayak gitu. Padahal dia panitia, bukan peserta santunan kayak gitu. Dia yang nyantunin, tapi karena dia yatim dia ikut makan. Ini menjadi sebuah ketabuhan dalam budaya. Ketika orang yang misalnya kurang, kemudian dia kena hate speech, ini orang yang kurangnya malah minta di hate speech gitu bahasanya. Seperti stand up comedian siapa? Yang duduk di kursi itu, yang lumpuh itu, Dani Aditya kalau nggak salah. Dia malah bangga terhadap kekurangannya dan itu dijadikan kelebihan. Jadi sebenarnya saya mau nanya sama Pak D siapa? Jeriwit dan Mbak Maria Crespo itu bagaimana menanggapi tentang tragedi-tragedi seperti ini? Yang kita itu tabu sebenarnya. Mereka itu yang memiliki kekurangan, apakah bangga dengan kekurangannya itu atau dia udah berdamai dengan dirinya sendiri sehingga kita sebagai orang yang normal misalnya gitu ya, harusnya kita tidak ikut mengeledekin mereka atau kita harusnya ikut mengejek mereka gitu.
Good.
Ada ketabuhan di situ. Terima kasih.
Thank you.
Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam. Aku tampung dulu karena itu pertanyaan bisa buat sekalian konklusi karena mau nanya ke Pak D, ya kan?
Pak D. Terima kasih Pak D.
Good. Aku tampung dulu ya. Thank you. Thank you. I'll pull because it has a question for Jerry and Maria as well. So I'll do that while we wrap up, in case somebody want to debrief. Last one. Okay.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone.
My name is Chita Finyart Chanipar from 48 Senior High School, and the problem that my team discussed about is not so big. It's basically like separatism and seniority in our school, which there are two stairs in our school. The first one is very near to the canteen, and the other one is not. So the senior in our school actually prohibited the juniors, or like the 10th graders, to take the nearest route to the canteen. So we can't go with that staircase because they think it's theirs. They think like it's only for the seniors or it's their authority, and we are not allowed to go by that place. And of course, as the juniors, as the 10th graders that time, we obey them. We don't have the courage to actually what is it called? Yeah, we don't have the power to speak out. Yeah. So to make this simple, there are three things that we take from this discussion. The first one is to speak out and speak out. This is one of the program that the student council make because of the seniority problem in our school. And by the way, the fun fact is our senior high school is titled with the seniority high school because like the seniority problem is very big and it is known in Jakarta. So yeah, it's not so surprising for us. But maybe because we experience it by ourselves, it's kind of shocking. But yeah, the first thing that we actually learn is to speak out and speak out. Maybe we don't have the courage to talk to the seniors, but we as a student are allowed to speak to the other, maybe to the student council or to the teachers, or the one that has authority to help us to stop that thing to happen. And the second thing is violence is not the key or not the answer to solve all of our problem. Well, maybe some of us is like very brave to tell the seniors to stop doing that because, well, what do you get from doing that? What do you get from preventing us to go to that staircase or to go to the canteen, right? There's no point from blocking us to go, right? But instead of doing that violence, we do something that they can't stop in a way because we talk to the teachers, right? And the teachers have a higher authority than the seniors. So yeah, that's the second thing that we learned. And the last one is they always say that seniority is solidarity, but by them doing seniority to us will make the juniors have a very good relationship with the others. Like us, we are very close because we experience the seniority from the seniors and stuff. But actually, that is not the case. We got closer because we have the same liking or we believe in each other or so on, and we love the diversity. Yeah, we treat each other as equal, not because we experience the same hate speech, the same seniority from our seniors. That is very pointless, and we will love that everyone is got the same opportunity at school, not only at school, maybe at work too, because there's a lot of seniority also in like job field, right? So yeah, maybe that's all that we get from our discussion, and thank you.
Thank you. Speak out and speak out. Whistleblowing is not being cepu, okay? Being cepu is not lame. It's defending the truth. We have a quick question for Pak De Jerry and maybe Maria. So we have a question that especially within the comedy field, disability has been used as a subject for comedy and with the intention of raising the awareness and being comfortable with it. It has been brought up as a topic. But then that can be led to real hate speech about the subject. So how are we staying light and fun and respond to the jokes without being downplaying the comedic effort, but still preventing the hate speech? So we're not considered lame or you're so tight or you're so stuck up. Parah banget sih kalau misalkan nggak ketawa sama joke ini ya kan. Jadi gimana caranya biar balance antara masih bisa ketawa tapi tidak hate speech, betul? Oke, silakan Pak D.
Should I be funny? So when I was young, before I lost my leg, I went to an amusement park and a pool, and I saw a man or a teenager get out who was missing his leg. And I felt inside, gross, or that's gross. I shouldn't go in that water. He's been in that water. I don't know where that came from as like a boy. I felt like it wasn't normal, and I didn't like it. I remember. I don't know this man or boy. Years later, I'm in college, and before I go and lose my leg, and someone made jokes about amputees, and I laughed. There's a bunch of jokes, you know, what do you call a man with no arms and no legs, and he's at your floor or on the, and I laughed. Oh, that's so funny. Because I didn't know an amputee, and I didn't have friends with disabilities. So I was ignorant, I laughed. I didn't interrupt, I was young. When I step on a landmine, and I look down and say, where's my foot? Where's my foot? And then I learned to live with disability, that my leg is not going to grow back. It's an awful nightmare. I want it to, I pray for it to. That's sort of a joke. It's not going to grow back. So I got used to my disability, but I thought maybe I'm being punished by God because I had a bad feeling towards someone and I made a joke about amputees, and now look at me. Who's laughing now in a bed with no leg? So I don't know. I don't think actually God punishes that way, but I felt badly myself, and I felt shame. So I had to learn to be comfortable with my leg. It comes to me first. So you all could make fun, or anyone could say gross, and I'd say, okay, I was like you once. So I'll just tell a story that will tell an example. I have 4 children I mentioned, and one son, Bo, took me to school. Do you have show and tell here when you're in young school? You bring in your favorite dollhouse or dog or, I don't know, something you like, a stone. So my son, he was 9 years old, and he brought me for show and tell because he only knows a father with a fake leg, and he thinks it's cool. So I come in with my son to the elementary school as his guest. And he's so excited, Bo. He goes, Dad, show them your leg. Dad, show them. And I was like, shh, Bo. Wait for the reveal. Slow. Take it slow. So I come in, and the teacher says, here's Mr. White. He's Bo's father, and he has a story to tell about how he lost his leg. And all the kids look down. Which leg? And I can see, I'm like, I'm up here, and they're looking down there. So I go down, and I say, well, yeah, I have this story. It's hard to explain to kids about landmines in America where there are no landmines. They don't even understand. So I start to say, see, and I had an accident, and I lost my leg. So like with you all, you do the reveal, and all the 9-year-old kids are like, oh, my son is very excited. He's like, look, isn't it cool? But most of the kids had never, ever seen a fake leg. No, and I say, do you know how to say prosthesis in English? Do you know how to spell prosthesis? No one knows, right? I hardly know. I had never learned that word until I lost my leg. So then I say, so what do you think? I came in and I had all my legs. Now you know I'm missing one. Am I different than the person who walked in? Am I less? So they're sort of like getting it, like, no, well, maybe. And then I do this, and you'll have it's like a human reaction. I say, so when I show you my leg and I take it off, now what do you feel? And I think it's important to feel honest. You might just be like, ew. So at first, technology is cool. Now you have Olympic athletes and Paralympic athletes that run. You see advertisements for graphite, titanium, like this is a cool leg. So people can talk about this. Like, hold it. You want to know how heavy it is? Take it. Like, You can pass it around. How many pounds? How many kilos? Do you want one? Guess how much this costs. How much does this cost in dollars? $500? I'm bidding. 1,000? 3,000? 10,000? 15,000? $19,000 for a below-the-knee dumb fake leg. $19,000. Crazy. Above-the-knee legs, high-tech, can cost up to $80,000 to $90,000 for one. I need a new leg every 3 years. It breaks like your used car. It chips, it breaks. So then I do this, like you all are comfortable with this, and then I say, so am I different? And even this motion can make you uncomfortable because you haven't seen it, right? You're like, ew. So with my kids, they thought it was normal. I would do puppets in the bed and say, woof, woof, like, and we called it Dino, the dinosaur. So you're like, that's awkward, but it's different. And then I won't do it for here. Like I'd have to, but if I took off the silicone liner that has a suction socket that has a certain technology that this sucks me in and you can't take it off me unless you learn, like my son, the magic button that you can release me from my leg. So one child says, they're like, oh, that's cool. Do you shower with it? Like some people, do you sleep with it? So you're probably asking, like, the teacher has the same question as the 9-year-old boy. And I say, no, it's uncomfortable. Like, I don't sleep with my glasses on. That's an assistive device. And I don't sleep with this on. I take it off, side of the bed, and I go to bed. And they're like, oh, okay. Do you shower with it? Like, no, it could get rusty or break. Like, this isn't, I have a swimming leg, a separate leg if I want to use that at the beach. Oh, how much does that cost? A little less, 12,000. So they're learning, even they're 9, right? And then the question comes from one boy. Does your wife know? Like as if this was a secret. And then I say, yes, I've been married to her for, over 30 years. I think she knows already. And he says, does she still love you? And I thought it's so interesting from like an 8-year-old or a 9-year-old to say, can you love a person of difference? And I said, I think so. And if she doesn't love me, it's not because of this. There are many other reasons not to love me, but this is not one of them. So I think the message to the kids, like to all of you, is once I learned that I was a whole, I am, not was, I am a whole person. And even if you chopped off one leg and chopped off the other, I don't give you permission to make me less than a whole person. But that's for you all to know about yourselves, that we are more than our bodies. We are spirits and souls that are having a physical experience. That's what I believe. And lastly, the secret is, you maybe heard of phantom pain. And I just say the last thing is, I can feel the foot I do not have. I feel the toes I do not have. Sometimes it's painful and they fall asleep. Sometimes it's like a knife being stuck into my leg that I don't have. So I already feel what it's like to be an angel, or I feel what it's like to have whole energy, full energy, even when you're missing a piece. So that's my story, is that like, once you get to know an amputee or a person in a wheelchair, and they teach you a little bit about themselves, it can change all sorts of things. And it changed my life, that I know that I'm more than my missing piece. I'm a whole person, and that's what I stand for, and I hope that helps. So it's both funny and serious. So thank you for letting me tell you the personal story.
Thank you Pak De. Jadi intinya adalah memanusiakan dan bagaimana kita merespon ke candaan-candaan itu. Karena beliau-beliau ini membuat candaan, boleh kita tertawa karena mereka mengajak kita tertawa, tapi bagaimana kita merespon dan memulai percakapan-percakapan berikutnya dengan respect, dengan new understanding, pengertian yang baru, dan pengetahuan yang baru. Jadi skillnya nambah setelah mendengar jokes itu. Bukan justru mempunyai topik baru untuk mengata-ngatai orang. Ya nggak? Good? Alright. Terima kasih banyak. Ada sedikit 30-second summary from Shital. Karena sebenarnya inti dari workshop adalah belajar dari satu sama lain.
So I think from most of what you have shared, we have intellectual humility, open-mindedness, education, speak up and speak out, have volunteer groups. What I see is one thing that we have identified is that these are behaviors, a lot of them, when you say analyze and diagnose and mindset that affects the violence. So one of the important takeaways from what you shared was that all these are behaviors, and behavior can be changed or solved. The second is that a lot of you want to create workshops or have workshops, and I think that's something we have right here. Do you have that, Maria, that as the violence?
Slide-nya boleh tolong di full screen? Teman-teman multimedia, slide-nya boleh di full screen?
So there is a QR code given on that, and if you scan
yang
that,
tadi.
now is the time. The hand mine is by choice.
Thank you.
So we can scan what is of use and be a part of many networks and workshops that you want to do, which you have already shared.
Kita juga ada survey. Here's toleransi beragama. Yang tadi aku ngata-ngatain Shital, akhirnya kita bisa makan bareng. Ya kan? So together across religions and traditions, we can join forces in preventing violence and hate speech.
So you see, about many years ago, we went to the canteen together, and that builds friendship. And let's imagine those kids that we acted today have become good friends. Good friends, bridging differences. I'm sure that if you are able to do what you have said, if you are able to speak up and speak out and go out and meet others in their diversity, you will have amazing friendships as Angie and Shital.
Thank you. And we also have a post-workshop survey. If you can now take out your phone and scan the QR code. I'm from the Learning and Impact Assessment, and this is how we invite people to learn together by learning from you. That's how I designed this workshop together with Shital, not to have us talking to you, but to open up a space where you can learn from each other. And another step now for me is to learn how this exercise and this panel helped us understand what to give next and how can we learn. That QR code, when you fill out the survey, will also take you to the Join Us page. So if you want to become an individual member as yourself and have trainings and have connection, you can do it. Or if you have an organization, you can join as a cooperation circle like 1000 Abrahamic Circles Project.
Be cool and join. Come on, let's join.
It's good now. Yeah, go ahead and scan that. And thank you so much, FPTE, for hosting us. Such a great and amazing event.
Thank you for the URI for this workshop. And a special thank you for everyone that is participating in today's sessions. We trust the insights of valuable speakers help us foster a peaceful environment through a constructive dialogues. So
And-
before we end this session, we will have a photo session with all the participants. So the participants from the next room, you
Are
can come
coming.
in.
And while they'll come, just to know that when you leave, there is some merchandises, because URI, as Jerry said, is URI. So if you want to pick a logo, take it. We are wearing one. If you want to take the piece for the phone, the holder for the phone, just have it. It's a present from us. The URI identity is the identity of respect for differences.
Okay, for everyone who are here, please stand up for the photo session. You can, ya. Untuk semuanya boleh berdiri dulu untuk foto session. Oh, duduk. Oh, sorry everyone, bisa duduk aja biar bisa kelihatan semua. Okay. Kalwi, on your cue ya.
Okay. Because my camera is limited, so I cannot cover all of you guys. Only this one. Mr. Jerry, can you please come closer? Okay. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Smile. 1, 2, 3. Smile. Last one. 1, 2, 3. Smile. Perfect.
Thank you everyone for participating in today's discussion on navigating religious discourse in the social media era. Don't forget to follow our social media handles at FVC Indo, at 1000 Circles Proj, and at URI Global for more information and programs about our activities, events, and programs. See you at the next FVCI or URI programs, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.